Welcome to the Flourish with Neural Retraining podcast, formerly known as the Flourish with Functional Nutrition podcast. I'm your host, Madeline Lowry, founder of Twin Cities Neural Retraining, and a certified MAP method practitioner specializing in allergies and sensitivities, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, sleep issues, infertility, and other chronic health conditions. Join me for episode 45, where we talk with my client Rachael Royce from Leicester, England, about her experience with the online self-paced MAP for COVID program and the improvements she saw in her symptoms and her emotional and mental outlook after 4 weeks. The MAP method, for those of you who are not familiar, is an advanced method of neural retraining. I developed this program for COVID long haulers because I had seen research about the use of anti-anxiety medications to lessen the severity and duration of COVID-19 symptoms. And I immediately realized that if anxiety could be related to symptom severity, that we could use neural retraining to accomplish the same effect. Now, if the relationship between the brain and the function of the immune system is not clear to you, I recommend reading up on the emerging science of psychoneuroimmunology, often abbreviated as PIN or PNI, which relates the state of the psyche to the nervous system and immune function. In other words, how you feel, your emotions, and what you think, your thoughts, have a direct impact on how well your immune system works. And since it is the immune system that is tasked with fighting off viruses like COVID-19, this is actually a very practical approach. As always, we must disclaim that the information we share in the podcast is for educational purposes only. As MAP method practitioners, we do not diagnose or treat disease, and we recommend working with a qualified practitioner. Now, let's talk to Rachael. So Rachael, I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today. Rachael, heard about a program that I developed for COVID long haulers. And long haulers here are described as people who have symptoms of COVID infection, COVID-19 infection, more than 30 days after infection. And probably, I would say most of the people described as COVID long haulers might be people who have had symptoms for maybe several months, right, after having a COVID infection. So Rachael, welcome to the show. I'd love to have you share your experiences with others about how working with the mind, working with an advanced neural retraining method like the MAP method could be helpful for something like COVID. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you learned about the MAP method in the first place.
Well, thank you for having me and for the opportunity. It's been really interesting doing the program. I'm really grateful. I had heard about the method before. In my local town, there's a lady called Suzanne Bond. She owns a clinic, a therapy clinic in my town. She's really good, and I've used the therapy before, the advanced neural therapy, brain training. It like rewires your brain, which is really interesting. And I heard about the program through Facebook. I think Suzanne had shared it because I think she's had some dealings with you before.
Yes.
With certain topics. So I was really interested in trying the program because I knew it did actually work with me before, as I was experiencing some issues with anxiety and fears, with some personal issues. and it really helped me to overcome my fears and anxieties. So I was really excited because I think when I spoke to you, it was just over 12 months since I had my first COVID symptoms. I had COVID March 20, so I think February time is when I first spoke to yourself and was willing to give it a go. So,
yeah. So you started this program in March 2021 then. Is that right?
It would be, yes, that's right. I've tried everything to try and I lost my smell and taste. So that was my main COVID symptoms. And it was really getting me down, affecting my mental health. I just thought there was no sort of end to, I was not going to get my smell and taste back. Just really sort of feeling a bit negative about it all. And I tried some of the things, supplements, acupuncture, reflexology, and I knew I'd had this kind of training before with my brain, and it really helped me overcome my problems last time. So I really feel it was going to help me with my smell and taste and regaining some of that back. So I was willing to give it a go, and it was great that you gave me the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. So can you talk about what your symptoms were like before you started the program? So you've been working on it, on your COVID symptoms for almost a year. Where were you at before you started the program, this MAP for COVID program?
Well, in January, I went to see an ear, nose and throat consultant because I just couldn't smell or taste anything. I'd sort of developed something called parosmia, which is like a bit of a distorted, everything's distorted. So it's a bit like a smoky type smell in your nose, no taste at all. So really, I didn't really have any smell or taste at all before I started the program. Hence why I was willing to give anything a try. So I'm really grateful that you gave me that opportunity.
Yeah. And so on your intake form, you had also listed other symptoms like fatigue and headache, dizziness, irritable bowel. Are those symptoms that had been bothering you for the 12 months prior as well?
Yeah, they were. Although with the program, I wasn't really focusing on that because my main thing that was getting me down was not being able to smell and taste. So not being able to taste food or smelling just natural smells of cut grass or things like that. So yes, they have improved too. So the program was good for my mental health. So having a positive attitude towards regaining all these symptoms, getting rid of all these symptoms, and improving like my lifestyle really helped. So yes, it's definitely helped me.
So what stage were you at with your smell and taste? You said in January you went to see a specialist. Were you, so by March when you started the program, it sounds like you were tasting and smelling. It's just that it was distorted. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, my taste was worse than my smell. I didn't really have much taste at all, which was very depressing when you're eating food that you like and you can't taste what it tastes like. Yeah, it was every morning I'd wake up and I'd have this smoky smell in my nose. It was really hard to describe. Unless you've been in my situation, it's hard to describe to other people. But yes, it was distorted. I couldn't smell properly. Yeah, so it really did help me. The program did. Yeah.
So interestingly, when I decided to create this program, I had been reading in the papers here, about how they were using anti-anxiety drugs to help people overcome
long-term symptoms of COVID infections. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. They're using an anti-anxiety medication to overcome these symptoms, these, kind of lingering symptoms. And I thought, well, I know something that helps anxiety, fear, depression, negative emotional states. That's very gentle and side effect free, and I thought, well, we should really be using the MAP method to address long-term symptoms of COVID. And I had learned that many of the symptoms looked like fatigue or ongoing headaches or dizziness or digestive upset, right? And I thought, and I've had very good, results with those kinds of symptoms with the MAP method. The one thing that puzzled me was the loss of smell and taste. I had no idea if MAP method sessions could make any improvement in that arena. That was the one area I was like really not sure, because I didn't understand how that was created. I mean, obviously the brain is an interpreter for everything we taste and smell, right? Just like it's an interpreter for any experience that we have. But it's such a strange and such a COVID, it's such a hallmark, right, of COVID infection. But I really had no expectations that this program was going to help people with their taste and smell. I was really hoping it was going to help with everything else you had on your list. But anyway, so tell me, how would you describe this program for people who haven't done the MAP method before? How would you describe how this program worked and how it was different from your original experiences working with Suzanne Bond?
So the program's really good how it's set up. Week 1 is really good. It deals with emotions. So I believe that's a really good place to start, because you are got lots of emotions going on in your head when you've got COVID and you've got all these symptoms and you just don't feel well. So dealing with the emotions to start with is a good place. And I was feeling really upset about my situation. And by the end of the week, I felt less stressed and fearful tackling with it all. So I believe it did retrain my brain to be a bit more positive. Yeah. And I was ready to move on to week 2 then, which was about beliefs. So as the week went on, I was starting to feel a bit more positive about the situation and my health returning to normal one day. And then week 3 is about symptoms. So this was a really turning point for me when I started to smell and taste a little bit. And my negative thoughts were like fading, and I was starting to feel so much more positive, because every time I did try to eat something, I could sort of taste it a little bit. So it was still very faint, but I was starting to show an improvement. And I was starting to think this program's really working for me. So I was really happy to be given the opportunity to do it. And then I was doing that one, I think I did that for 7 days. So I did that week 3 and 4. I was doing more than the first 2 weeks. And then week 4 was about intentions. So I think it was saying sort of, you are going to get better. So you sort of changing your brain to say to yourself, I am going to get better and I will be able to smell and taste. And from that point, I was really starting to smell different things, and it was starting to smell normal again. So yeah, I think it really helped me, definitely. And I am sort of regaining most of my smell and taste back now.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, Rachel.
Let's take a quick break from the conversation. I wanted to insert a note about the MAP for COVID program here. For those of you that are not familiar with the MAP method of advanced neural retraining, these sessions are usually done live over video conference with a practitioner. Each session is organized around a goal or a topic chosen by the client, and the practitioner establishes a rapport with your subconscious mind and offers verbal instructions that allow your subconscious mind to rewire itself in the session. Now, this is a method that, it's not hypnosis, it's not NLP, it is not EMDR, and it's not tapping, but it is related to those last two, EMDR and tapping. So if you're familiar with those energy psychology methods from the 1980s, this is like the next generation. However, it has evolved so much that it is almost unrecognizable in terms of its relationship to those original methods. In this program, right, we made a different choice. We utilized recorded sessions because we wanted to create a more repeatable, more standardized, and also a more affordable, convenient experience. It also allowed participants to have more sessions each week, more than they would have been able to do if they had to schedule with a practitioner. So once you register for the program, all the weeks of activities are available to you immediately, and you have access to these recorded sessions 24/7. There are 4 core recorded sessions in the program, 1 for each week, as you've just heard Rachel describe. The first week is about emotions. The second week is about your beliefs around your health and your recovery. The third week, we deal with your symptoms. And the fourth week, we deal with your intentions for getting better, for, having a normal life again. And along with these recorded sessions are supplementary exercises and materials. Now, each recorded session is meant to be used multiple times during the week. So the recommended pace is about 3 sessions a week, an hour each. And so the time commitment is about 3 hours per week. Of course, since it is a self-paced program, you could do more or less sessions each week as you wish. If you would like to learn more about the MAP method, more than I've been able to explain here, please listen to episode 29 of this podcast, which describes the origins of the MAP method as described by the founder. She talks about the research behind the method and the applications for it. And in episode 31, we talk about frequently asked questions about the MAP method. So I hope those resources are helpful to you if you have questions. Now, let's get back to our conversation.
So I remember from your intake form that your sense of smell and taste, you had rated at an 8 out of 10. Like how much that symptom was bothering you was an 8 out of 10, where 10 is like the most severe. By the end, how would you describe the level of smell and taste that you had regained? I mean, was it a little bit better? Was it much better? How would you describe it?
It still wasn't, well, it still isn't now 100%. I probably could have felt like maybe doing a few more sessions. But yes, it definitely increased it went up the chart from an 8. I'd probably say it was probably around a 2 to 3 by the end of the sessions. So my overall sort of score was about a 2 to 3. Yeah. So I definitely feel like there was a big improvement, but maybe I could have carried it on for a little longer, but because of personal reasons I just didn't have the chance to carry it on. So but yes, definitely a big improvement in everything. So in my smell and taste, in my mental health was good, positivity. So yes, it really helped.
Yeah. And so so it's been a few months now since you did the program. I wonder, would you say that the results have lasted?
Yes. I mean, I have gradually got better. I think it's a time thing as well, but yes, definitely. I think it was a big turning point for me and I would recommend it to anybody. If anyone's asking me on Facebook for recommendations, I always would say, neural brain training, really helped me. The advanced neural brain training helped me, because I believe COVID has something to do with brain cells, and the brain is such a powerful thing, and it definitely helped me, definitely.
Yeah. So you did a 1 4-week cycle of the program. Is that right?
Yes, I
Yes.
did, yeah.
Yeah. And so you felt like if you had continued on, that maybe you could have achieved even more with the program.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. So let me just explain that, the program is set up as a 4-week cycle. Not that you have to do it in 4 weeks. People can take whatever pace they would like, but it's sort of like the template is laid out in this 4-week cycle with activities that should be done in that order, right? You don't want to do week 2 before you've done week 1, or but people are free to repeat those cycles. So if at the end of 4 weeks you haven't achieved your goal, right? So your smell and taste maybe got 80% to 80%, but not to 100%. You can repeat the 4-week cycle again, or any parts of it. So once you've done it like through once in the proper order, you could redo it and jump around, because now like, okay, well, I realize there is an emotional piece to this that I want to work with more. Or maybe you realize that there's a belief, right? There's this thought that keeps coming up for you. I'm never going to get better, or whatever, that I need to neutralize because this is holding me back, right? Or maybe you want to work specifically on that symptom with the symptom part of the program. So you can skip around to the parts that you feel would be more appropriate for you the second time around, and that may help you to achieve your goals, even beyond the 4-week cycle as it is laid out in the program. Can you talk a little bit about how this program, working with this program, so this is an online self-paced program, how is that different from doing the sessions you had done before with a practitioner live?
It was good because you're in your own home. I used to just go and lie on the bed and relax on the bed and just close my eyes, close the curtains, and just listen to what you were saying. And I think it works better because you're actually more focused on what you're saying and what's going on. I think it really helps your brain to sort of listen to what you're saying. And whereas before you would go actually to a clinic and see a therapist, and you'd be sat in a chair, so it wouldn't be as relaxed. So I think the more relaxed you are, the more your brain is actually going into like a state of like listening to what you're saying. To the subconscious is actually listening better, and it's telling you what you need to hear to improve your situation. So with any kind of issue or symptom or belief or whatever emotion you've got, I think the program really works really well, and if people can do it wherever they want to at home, makes it in a more relaxed environment, which is probably going to help people more than going into a clinic.
Yeah, so I think that is one of the advantages, that you can do the sessions whenever you want and as often as you want. I don't recommend more than one session a day, but I think people could do 5 or even 7 sessions a week. And so it is self-paced in that way for the person that wants to do more sessions or feels like it takes more sessions to make those changes, then they are welcome to do that. But it is different than working with a live practitioner. Maybe I'll just talk about that for a second. So when people work with a live practitioner, and I do all of my sessions over Zoom, Suzanne does some in-person sessions. But when you're working with a practitioner, even over Zoom, you have someone who is there with you, and you are providing feedback with each round of instruction to your subconscious mind. At the end of it, I'll be asking my client for, what came up in your mind during that, right? So what memories, what thoughts, what insights, maybe, or people or locations, or right, what experiences popped into your mind during that round of instruction. And when we can do that live, it helps the practitioner determine what the next set of instructions should be, because your subconscious mind is revealing its programming, right, in each round of instruction by what comes up in the mind. Some people get words or images, right, sentences. And so that feedback, that helps the practitioner to determine, where do we need to take this session next? What direction do we follow here? We don't have that in recorded sessions. So recorded sessions are different because they are planned rounds of instruction that are around a general topic. So like you said, emotions was one session in the program, beliefs was one session, symptoms was one session, and intention was one session. And you did one type of session each week. But there is no live feedback from the practitioner, right? So this is a little bit different. It's a different way of working with MAP. So I am very glad to hear that, you were able to achieve as much improvement as you did through recorded sessions, right? Because this opens up the possibility of making it more economical for people. Like, it wouldn't have cost a lot. I think by the end you had indicated you had done 17 recorded sessions. That would have cost a lot if you had to go in and see a practitioner.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you probably would have stopped, way before that, right? You would have just stopped. You would have given up. But with so there are pros and cons to recorded sessions. But I think that the pros here kind of outweigh the cons, because you're able to engage more with the method, and you're able to do it in a very convenient, comfortable way.
That's right, definitely. I definitely think you've set the program out really well, because I think it all flows, and week 1 goes into week 2 to week 3, week 3 to 4. So you've done it in the right sort of way, and in the right order, because people have to get their emotions under control first before they can move on and believe what they're going to improve, and then tackle their symptoms, and then have the right intentions going forward to feel better. So it's definitely I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. So for people who haven't tried neural retraining before, what would you say you've enjoyed about it? Because I think it can sound scary for people, to be told, like, working with your brain could help you resolve these physical symptoms. First of all, there may be a feeling of disbelief, like, how could that possibly work? Also, people may feel a little bit scared, like, oh, wait, you mean this is going to do something to my brain? Like, that seems scary. How do you feel about that now, after having had all these experiences with the MAP method? Should that be a worry or concern for people?
No, definitely not. I feel that it's it's harmless procedure, and it's actually it's beneficial, because with COVID, I think somewhere in there's a barrier in your brain. It's so advanced that I feel you need this kind of treatment to actually get better, because the brain is so powerful. It's actually better than taking prescription medication, because you're not taking any medication at all, and the program actually is training your brain to actually improve and get your symptoms back. So sorry, not symptoms, you're actually going to get your actual issues sorted. It definitely is harmless. So anyone who wants to give it a go should give it a go. I definitely think there's a lot of people in my situation who have tried everything. Acupuncture and doctors have been giving steroids, tablets to people, and lots of different medication, and you don't know what that's actually doing to your body. With this program, it's not really affecting you at all. But yes, it's actually really good. I think people should try it.
Yeah, thank you. So I do want to point out that, most people don't realize this, right? They don't think about this, but the subconscious mind runs all the systems of the body, right? So when you said the brain is really powerful, the brain is really powerful when it comes to your health. And I think the other premise of this program is that the body wants to heal itself, and the body has an innate ability to do so. But when the body is not able to regain its health, there are certain blocks and barriers, right, that are preventing it from doing so. And so those blocks and barriers can be addressed by working with the subconscious mind. And when we can resolve these various blocks and barriers, then you can almost think of it as like we are opening a space for the body to all the systems of the body to sort of come back online and do the healing that is needed. And so I think that is why we see such good results for a method like this, which is only attempting to work with the subconscious mind and the subconscious sources of stress that we all have, that we've all kind of built up, right? Whether it's around COVID or any other chronic health issue.
Definitely, it's very powerful and harmless, and I would recommend it before taking prescription drugs. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I really appreciate you sharing your experience with this program. I know there are a lot of people that are looking for a way to address their symptoms, and there isn't a lot that is effective at this time. Maybe that will change, but I hope that for people that are open to it, that they can find their way to trying the MAP method and this set of recorded sessions that I've put together in this program. Yeah.
Yes, thank you ever so much for the opportunity, and it's really helped me, and I would recommend it to anybody. Give it a go. You're not going to miss, you're not going to lose anything by trying it. You'd probably gain by doing it, and you would probably get your life back to normal as soon as possible by trying it. Definitely give it a go.
Yes, Rachel, lovely talking with you.
Yeah, thank you ever so much.
Thanks for joining us for the Flourish with Neural Retraining podcast. Please listen again and remember to follow us and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or Stitcher. To learn more about the self-paced online MAP for COVID program or other health applications of the MAP method of advanced neural retraining, visit our website, mindremapforhealth.com. To learn more about the MAP Coaching Institute, visit mapcoachinginstitute.com. Until the next time, be well and flourish. Content of this podcast copyright 2021 by Twin Cities Neural Retraining. Music by Barbara Ben.